The Animal Kingdom by Roby Althaus. The animal kingdom is one of the largest kingdoms of living organisms, and it started forming millions of years ago. Many people do not realize how important it really is and look over it like nothing truly great happened. In reality, it is an essential part to this world's creation, evolution, and history. There are many aspects as to why the origin of the animal kingdom is so important. The transformation it has had on history, the origin and evolution of species, how organisms and animals started to form, the need for nutrients and how it affected the growth rate of animals, and finally, the formation of animals and how they evolved are all part of this amazing process. The origin of the animal kingdom was one of the biggest transformations in history. The animal kingdom is at once the kingdom most and least familiar to us. The reason for this is because there is a decent amount of information that we know about, but there is much more that is unknown. In any case, the importance of the animal kingdom is very high because it has created so many new things into this world. The transformation was so big because it went from small organisms and then they began to get progressively larger and larger. If we did not have these animals, the world today would be much different. They provide the basic resources that we need in order to live, such as food. The process of evolution of animals was also adapted by plants, which created oxygen. The animal kingdom essentially created our world's environment and many of its features. There was a new process happening in the world when species of animals started to form for the first time. It is believed that early animal life, termed Ediacaran biota, evolved from protists at this time. Although there is belief that animals first started forming in the Ediacaran biota period, there is still much debate as to when they were actually formed. Scientists gathered their information based off fossils that they have found and dated back to specific time periods. From single-celled ancestors, they evolved into a riot of complexity and diversity. This is how the process began, and they started to form the animal kingdom. When most people think of the animal kingdom, they think of animals we have today. But this is not actually the case. The animals that were forming at this time were not the animals as we know today. They were small and most had not evolved yet to have an outside shell to protect them. They have changed greatly since then. More and more animals were being created, and after some time they started to change based off their needs in the specific area they were in. The figure shows the creation of animals from the beginning of when Earth formed 4.6 billion years ago and the animal's journey throughout history. Eventually, the formations and necessary changes of these animals led to a concept called evolution. The definition of evolution is a theory that the differences between modern plants and animals are because of changes that happen by a natural process over a very long time. The theory of evolution is a disputed topic that was created by a man named Charles Darwin. To some people, mostly politicians and religious leaders, denounce it and would invoke a higher being as a designer to explain the complex world of living things. Others, mostly scientists, see nothing wrong with this theory. It is a matter of opinion, but ultimately species have changed over time and have created many new kinds of animals, some of which are still being discovered today. The process of changing over a specific amount of time is also another theory of Darwin's called natural selection. This is one of his more accepted theories and better explains the process of how evolution works, rather than just saying that one type of animal can change into another completely different one. His theories have shaped the scientific world and the ideas of the animal kingdom. This figure shows an example of an animal that went from having legs to fins over a long period of time and is a great example of evolution. Some species started out one way and have completely changed over time due to evolution and the need to change. The periods that followed the Cambrian during the Paleozoic era are marked by further animal evolution and the emergence of many new orders, families, and species. The creation of all these new species was very important to life and necessary to adapt to new environments. This is also the reason as to why there are millions of different species in the world today. Due to the fact that there are so many different species in the world, it makes it difficult to figure out the origin of where a specific type of species has come from. Arthropods are one of the most controversial and difficult species to trace back. The reason for this is because there are so many of them, and they have evolved into many different forms. This makes it very difficult to link them back to the beginning of their time. Some species evolve in very little ways and have remained ultimately the same from when they were first created. These species are considered to be simply impressively unique, because they are species that are different from everything else on the planet. They were able to live without adapting very much, and that is an incredible thing. Even if species evolve a lot or very little, all need specific nutrients to survive and thrive in this world. Nutrients were needed for the animal kingdom to grow to what it is today. The Cambrian period, occurring between approximately 542 and 488 million years ago, marks the most rapid evolution of new animal phyla and animal diversity in the Earth's history. There are many reasons as to why there was a huge amount of growth in the animal kingdom, including an increase in food. There is also support for the theories that argue that ecological relationships between species, such as changes in the food web, competition for food and space, and predator-prey relationships, were primed to promote a sudden massive coevolution of species. The increase in animals and organisms meant that there was a greater need for food in the environment. Animals were able to get the food they needed because of other animals being created that they could eat to survive. The process of animals eating one another led to the success of animals having enough strength to evolve. Because more and more animals were evolving, there were more animals being created. This was one of the reasons as to why the animal kingdom is so large today. The origin of the animal kingdom has done many great things to this world. The first animals that were formed have been studied and have given scientists information that was unknown for very many years. This has given them the ability to look at the animal kingdom and the importance of it. It has also given them the ability to learn more about our world, how organisms were formed, and the evolution process. Evolution was a main factor in the animal kingdom that has made it so large today. Small animals that needed to adapt to their environment were able to change in ways that they needed in order to survive. The nutrients provided by the creation of more animals and organisms helped them thrive and to be strong enough to survive in this world. The origin of the animal kingdom was an essential part of the world's history and an important part in the world to take note of.